Hey everybody, did you know you could go to ColinMullen.com in order to get art and art prints? That's why I set up the website, ColinMullen.com. Before we get into this week's subject, I want to talk about this week's painting. It's of this cat. I ended up doing two paintings this week because the first one I just couldn't get into, and by the end of it, I actually liked it. But I ended up finishing this one first, and the wife really likes this one. So I'm like, okay, we'll go ahead and, do this one, and then we'll do the other one next time. That's fine. Both this one and the next one I feel like are a little amateurish in a lot of respects, but it's okay. From a distance, it's all right, like a lot of things, if you don't look at it too hard. I'm being too hard on myself. Anyway, it's okay. The wife pointed out that I've started to move into other subject matter rather than just skulls, so that's probably good. That's probably a thing worth mentioning, and not something I'd really thought about, but it is nice to be branching out and doing other things. So I hope you like this painting, but let's talk about this week's thing. So, death of the artist is a thing that's thrown around a lot. Basically, it's a way to just not think about what the artist is doing, in my opinion. And that's a bit of a hot take. A lot of people are like, well, it doesn't matter what, they were going for. It just matters what I think. And therefore, my opinion trumps whatever work that they were doing. The artist releases this thing into the world, and my personal take on it is more important than any other take. And I am not a fan of that. Well, not as directly as that. I think it's important to understand how your reaction to the art is relevant. It is important. But, I talked about this previously in another video. I did a gallery show as part of graduating where the subject matter was me dealing with police corruption at a series of protests that I went to, and how I was upset about that, and how, all of that kind of thing. And as an extra credit assignment for art history, which is a very difficult class, you could go in and you could review the art and you could talk about what you saw. And one person who reviewed it said that it was really cool how I forgave the police officers. And at no point did I say that. And I just, that will stick with me forever, that somehow that was their interpretation. And it's part of my issue with the death of the artist thing, where it's like, you're wrong though. That's not what this piece is about at all. What? Much like speaking, sometimes you can say things and it be taken the wrong way. And I think art is sort of the same thing. I've brought that up before. But I also want to say that I think when it comes to death of the artist, I think something that really needs to be brought into light, and really the important bit of that concept, is probably more just seeing him as whatever the person is. So let's take, for example, Paul Gauguin. So Gauguin is a well-known, respected artist, and he spent a little bit of time in Tahiti. And this is relevant to our discussion because he painted a lot of pictures of a lot of art historians like to call them women, but they were very young, in, various states of undress, let's say. And he also was not the greatest guy ever, as you might expect. His trip there was not for the most pure intentions. He claimed that the people who lived there were idiots, basically, and that he could just do whatever he wanted with them. And he regularly beat his wife. And I think, now that you know that, and you go and look at his Tahiti series, you might see it in a different way. He may have been trying to put forward a different thing than what we actually got. And I think that's really what the death of the artist thing is about. The intention of it was, look at Tahiti. It's this Eden that you can, go and visit and do whatever you want, and it's great and it's beautiful and all that. But that's not what I see when I see his work now, because I know who he is as a person. And I think when it comes to death of the artist, what needs to happen is you kind of need to maybe see what the artist was like as a person, and then take that on as maybe oh, okay, so that's what they were going for. That's what they were talking about. Writing off who they are as a person, writing off all of that is inconsequential. I don't think that's dumb. That shouldn't happen. You should take in who the person was. The person who made it was the person who put the brush onto canvas. They did the work to do it, and the reasons they did it may be different than the way you interpret it, but you need to take into account who they were as a person in order to interpret it the way it was. the person who said that my art about police brutality was me giving forgiveness was 100% wrong. Their interpretation was wrong. And yeah, that was not what it was about at all. At all. I have a feeling they needed that extra credit work for a good reason. I believe a separate question can be asked: can we enjoy this despite the fact that we know this about the artist? You know, despite the fact that I know the things I know about Gauguin, can I enjoy this? And I think that's a personal thing. For me, I can't on Gauguin's work because I think it's so integral to who he is and the reason that he painted the things he did that I can't enjoy those pieces without thinking about that. Some other pieces of work or literature, maybe it's different, and everyone's gonna have to have their own take on that. When it comes to, for instance, early Megadeth, I can really enjoy those albums because who Dave Mustaine ended up becoming later on in life, the extreme political opinions that he gained later on in life, I feel like are in conflict with his earlier beliefs. And so I feel like I could still enjoy that despite the fact that he turned into the person he did. So I think it depends. So, Death of the Artist, what does it mean? And what does it mean to you? Can you just rewrite history or rewrite the creative work that was done by a person because you don't like it, or because you don't want to go through the effort and labor of learning about the thing? If it's not directly represented on the canvas, is it relevant? I think it can be. I think in the case of Gauguin, I think it's very much relevant, for example. And it changes completely how I interpret the piece, but I'm rambling now. Suffice to say that I think the concept of Death of the Artist is short-sighted, and it really just encourages you to just come up with whatever you feel like instead, rather than, maybe thinking about what the other person was thinking. To me, it's sort of like saying, like, well, so-and-so said something, like he really likes, I don't know, so-and-so likes cats. Rev likes cats, but he doesn't. I've decided that he actually hates them. And it's like, what? What? You're allowed to do that? Like, you're not allowed to do that in any other portion of life. Why are you allowed to do that with people's creative works? That makes no sense to me. Anyway, that's me for now. Let me go and thank those people on patreon.com/RevScarecrow who have donated $5 or more. Thank you to everyone at all tiers, though. I try and keep it so that way you get access to all the same things, regardless of the tier. At tier 1, you get access to all of the full content stuff and the posts that I make and all that kind of stuff. But at the $5 tier, just to keep it in line with Twitch, you get access to the Discord. And then at the $10 tier, just because it is a bit more work to do, I will talk about your art. I will give you a video just for you about what your art is and, how I think you could improve it. And if that's valuable to you, then cool. Anyway, thank you to my mom and dad. I love you. Thank you, Wap Fu. Thank you, Top Houndor. Thank you, Tom K. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Terry Maverick. Thank you, Snowpunk. Thank you, Skelecorgi. Thank you, Retrograde. Thank you, Mortis Naudis. Thank you, Micah. Thank you, Maliciousness. Thank you, Kayla Hollinger. Thank you, Gala. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you, Chiptune Glitch. Thank you, Bubba Fair. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Bep. Thank you, BD648. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Amber. And thank you, Ants! Anyway, let me know what you think about this whole thing. Do you disagree, and why? I honestly want to be put in my place if I'm wrong on this one, as per usual. Anyway, I'll see you next time, and I hope you have a good one.